That, and I will not pardon him.
And then you immediately go back, or at least several months later, like we don't have the internet, like we haven't heard you say this, and you reverse course and then you pardon. It's the level of distrust of politicians that we already have times two, right? I mean, this is what we all think. They're just telling us what we want to hear. They don't actually believe it when the rubber hits the road.
He said it more than once. In June, he said this. I'll play that again.
I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
That was what he told reporters when his son faced that trial in Delaware on the gun case. Then we fast forward just a few weeks to July. President Biden again saying he would not pardon Hunter when he was being interviewed by ABC News' main anchor, David Muir.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
Now, what's changed? Well, when he said this to David Muir, he was still running for president of the United States. He hadn't dropped out yet. Now he's December 1st. He's not running. Trump's been reelected. There's no real political consequences for him specifically. So he makes a calculation. There's no real political punishment for him. So he pardons his kid.
And he did so very explicitly. He set a timeline of almost 11 years. It's very specific. 11 years. The government can't touch his son to prosecute him. Why that's so important in this conversation. Next, with KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
We've been telling you guys for the last several months about how Master Electrical Service has joined forces with Mountain Home Services. And the reason that matters is because it is a one-stop shopping place that can take care of so many of your needs.
Yep, that means they can install that new EV charger that you need. You need some outlets changed out before the Christmas holidays roll around so you can plug those lights in. They can do that too. And they can also focus on your HVAC, the heating and air that you need to have updated, your plumbing.
Yeah, and I had Mountain Home Services come out and install my furnace years ago, and then they would do the service every couple of years, and I was so happy. They just did a great job, and it went along humming, pumping out hot air. It was great. So this all comes with that upfront pricing guarantee that they're known for.
Yep. That means no hidden fees, 100% satisfaction guarantee. You've known Master Electrical Service since 1954. Well, now get to know Mountain Home Services.
Check them out online, mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or you can call them, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
A house explosion this afternoon.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a no. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call tow cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good?
Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ask about Wi-Fi backup for your business or get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract. Plus, for a limited time, ask about an $800 holiday bonus prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to ComcastBusiness.com today. Ins 12/15/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet and security edge. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Shop Black Friday deals now at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And get 2 free select tools with purchase of a select combo kit or battery kit from brands like Cobalt, Craftsman, and DeWalt. Hurry and shop these savings only for a limited time because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/28 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, a Highland man who admitted to driving under the influence and causing a 6-car crash has been sentenced to 180 days in jail and 3 years on probation. Second, vendors at the Redwood Swap Meet will need to vacate the site by the end of the month. And third, Utah's outdoor recreation industry brought in a record high $9.5 billion last year, with the largest contribution coming from snow sports. Right now, it's 30 degrees downtown. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic. David Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
We're talking about President Biden pardoning his son Hunter. In a moment, we're going to get KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas on the line with us to walk through the kind of the nuts and bolts of this decision and what it means specifically for Hunter Biden. We're going to get into the politics of it as well in the special hour of coverage of the Biden pardon. But in doing so, the president writes, Dave, a full and unconditional pardon is at hand here, saying that during the period of January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, it's a pardon for any of those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during that time period.
I thought it was telling when we were reading through President Biden's statement. He said, no reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's case can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. So we thought it would be worthwhile to bring Greg Skordas on, our KSL legal analyst, and remind us what were the facts of the case and what was Hunter convicted of and what was he looking at. Greg, remind us, what was he convicted of?
So what happened was he has 2 cases, actually. One involves the purchase of a firearm while he was a drug user, and that's the one he actually went to trial on. So when you purchase a gun, you have to fill out a form that says, do you have a felony on your record, or you're here in the country legally, a bunch of things like that. Or are you a current drug user? He checked the box no, purchased a gun, and his I think it was his girlfriend or his ex-wife at the time, and others came in and said he was using drugs at the time. He even wrote a book that said that he was a drug user. The other case that he's been pardoned for, Dave, is a tax evasion case. And it's not that he lied on his taxes. He just didn't pay them. He didn't pay taxes for a significant period of time. And that case he pled guilty to. There wasn't a trial. He was waiting a sentencing on both cases. So they've been pardoned. But like you said at the beginning, Debbie, the pardon actually goes broader than that and includes uncharged conduct dating back 10 years.
Right. It covers a 10-year period for anything he may have taken part in. And so it is a very broad pardon. The president also states, he made a statement. It's a written statement. He says, without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. I haven't been involved in the criminal justice system as intimately as you have over the years, but I certainly know of cases where people have been charged and others who haven't been charged for similar crimes. But what's your take on that statement by the president?
So I would take it even a step further, Debbie, and say that both of the crimes that Hunter's been indicted for, the gun charge and the tax charge, are often not brought. So the president's right that these are unusual charges. That doesn't mean they can't be. A crime was committed. The jury found him guilty. So, but often those cases are diverted. They're sort of, in terms of the tax cases, dealt with administratively with penalties and whatnot. So I wouldn't say he was singled out. Once in a while, you just have to make an example out of a person, and I don't ever second guess the government when they do cases where a jury actually finds the person guilty. But yes, it's a case that's not often brought under the same facts. Probably, like you say, probably 3/4 of the people that commit those exact same acts would not be indicted.
Yeah, because
federally.
I think we've both been aware of people who haven't paid their taxes for an inordinate amount of time, and instead of being prosecuted, they get the opportunity to make payments by just working through it with the IRS over a phone call or through meetings and that kind of thing. So I don't necessarily agree with the president on that. However, I do also agree with you that sometimes cases are brought depending, everything's on a case-by-case basis, and sometimes people are in the criminal justice system made examples of.
Right, and every once in a while you're driving on the freeway and everybody's going 80 and you're the one that gets pulled over and you're going, well, why am I getting pulled over?
Yeah, the guy down the street was going 90, yeah.
Right, why did you pull him over? So the government has to pick and choose. He was certainly a high-profile defendant. Certainly they want to make an example so that the public will know that these are not offenses that we're just going to walk away from. But the man on the street, typically who didn't have the name Biden, would not have been charged under these same facts. Doesn't mean it didn't occur. Doesn't mean a crime didn't occur. It just means the government exercises discretion, and in these particular cases, doesn't always bring charges.
Greg, part of what stands out to me is when I was reading through this statement from the president, he says it is clear that Hunter was treated differently, that he was targeted, all the things that we've been talking about. But a lot of that are the same complaints that we hear from President Trump or President-elect Trump, where he was saying, I'm being targeted because of my name and nobody else has been targeted for this. But I just find it interesting that both are making what I think are identical complaints.
No, you're stating it exactly right. Both are saying I'm being singled out because this is a political prosecution. Again, if that's what you think, if that's where you are, take it to a jury. Let a jury decide. And Trump did the same thing Biden did, which is he said, no, I'm being singled out. I want my day in court. And a jury finds him guilty of 34 out of 34 felonies. Hunter Biden gets convicted of illegally trying to purchase a gun. So the remedy when you think you're being politically prosecuted or unfairly prosecuted is to take it to a jury. And both of those men did that, and both of them lost in that argument. So I understand what you're saying, but the proof is in the pudding sometimes.
The problem I see with this, though, is sure that it all played out. It seems, whether you agree with it or not, fair and square, except now President Biden can pardon his son, whereas President Trump, he can't be pardoned for the state crimes that he was convicted of. So that's where it kind of shifts odd, where it makes it strange and a head scratcher, because you're like, well, sure, it all played out fine, except one guy gets pardoned, the other does not.
Well, I think that deserves a little more explanation, too, for those people who might not understand. And President Trump on the 34 felony counts was a state case, as you stated. The president doesn't have authority or jurisdiction over state cases, where a president does have authority over federal cases, in which Hunter Biden was convicted on the federal charges. Is that a correct assessment?
It's exactly right. Biden couldn't have pardoned his son had he been charged in the state of Delaware or in the state of California, where his two crimes are, by the state prosecutors. He was indicted federally, and the only person that can pardon a person with federal charges is the President of the United States. However, he couldn't pardon a state charge for speeding because he has no jurisdiction over any state charges, period, in terms of his pardon authority.
So I want to get back to Dave's question, which I think is a valid question. I just wanted to make sure we had appropriate context on this. And that just has to do with the fact that it's kind of like, I guess more to Dave's point even, that a state prosecutor could come along and potentially charge Hunter Biden in these cases, correct?
That's exactly right. If there are state charges that fit that conduct. Now, he was charged with not paying his federal taxes. If he didn't pay state taxes, yes. And some states do have regulations, do have crimes involving the purchase of firearms. Certainly Utah does. And so that some of those charges, that particular charge probably could have been brought in Utah. I don't know whether that would apply in the state of California. But, yeah, they could bring charges against him there for the gun charge just as they did in the federal court. And it's not double jeopardy because they're separate jurisdictions.
Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Our KSL legal analyst.
So the potential of Hunter Biden facing more than 40 years in either of these charges combined, it won't happen. That he will not be sentenced. Now, 40 years, it sounds ridiculously high. Doubtful he would have gotten that much time as a first-time offender. However, between the two charges, I think it worked out to be the possibility of 42 years of prison time. Some have said he might have gotten, a probation offense, probation in the one offense of tax evasion, and perhaps some time on the gun charges in Delaware, but we will never know.
Well, and President Trump faces 136 years for his felonies. So, yeah, obviously, as first-time convicts, neither would receive anything near that. But I guess we'll never know now.
We'll never know. Straight ahead, in this statement the president released, and it's quite lengthy, he says something about fatherhood. You'll hear it next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a Utah lawmaker wants restaurants operating inside grocery stores to charge the same amount of sales tax as other restaurants. Senator Lincoln Fillmore says eateries inside grocery stores are charging 1% less tax than other restaurants. He's proposed a bill that would make it so they are charging that extra 1%, saying he wants to make sure
the marketplace is fair, regardless of what the tax rates are or the fiscal impact of any bill. The tax treatment ought to be equal based on the product that you're selling and to whom you're selling.
Fillmore says he plans to present the bill for a potential vote in the upcoming legislative session, which starts in January. We are just getting word this morning about a Salt Lake City police officer who was injured Saturday while trying to stop a group of suspects. The officer was driving when a suspect ran out in front of him. The officer tried to stop and ended up crashing into another car. The Highway Patrol is now investigating what happened. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter, though he had previously said he would not do so. That spares the younger Biden a possible prison sentence for federal felony gun and tax convictions. Biden is hardly the first president to deploy his pardon powers to benefit those close to him, but it was still a surprising reversal for a man who pledged to restore norms and respect for the rule of law. The sweeping pardon on Sunday covers not only Hunter Biden's convictions in 2 cases in Delaware and California, but also any other possible offenses by him against the United States committed from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 97 points now. That's about 0.2%. We're at 44,811. Coming up, we've got some fog this morning, some air quality issues. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
Old Spice Swagger Holiday Pack, perfect for a gift to treat yourself. 24/7 holiday freshness with daily use can smell your bestest. I'm gonna be smelling great all season. Old Spice scents just can't be beaten. Chock full of value, saving that green. Got the essentials needed to feel clean. Deodorant, hair, body wash, and spray. Celebrate your holiday the Old Spice way. Ho 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 ho.
Febreze. So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And back over to you, Heather.
Well, things are moving along very nicely now all across the Wasatch Front and the Wasatch back, for that matter. No delays on I-15, the east or west side belt routes, 201 freeway. What you'll encounter now is a bit of slowing in a lot of the road construction zones, especially if you're on Bangerter Highway, down in Bluffdale and also in West Jordan. Searching for the perfect present? Give them an evening or afternoon of music by Utah Symphony at Abravanel Hall. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high looks like it'll be about 45 degrees. We have hazy skies and highs in the 40s for the rest of the week. Our next chance for a storm looks like Sunday right now. Right now, we do have partly cloudy skies and 33 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
We're bringing you a special hour of coverage of President Biden's decision to pardon his son, Hunter. In a moment, we're going to look at the lengthy statement that the president issued on his decision. He explains it, and then toward the end, he says something about fatherhood, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But that's pardon. The announcement came late yesterday. I got the alert yesterday as I was sitting in watching some late night news that this was happening, or late afternoon news, Dave. And I thought I'm not that surprised that this happened, but certainly. The lengthy statement that the president issued did come as a surprise to me, and the fact that he brought in fatherhood, although he is his dad, I suppose he had no choice but to bring it up.
Yeah, and my thinking is that should not play into it, right? Clemency, pardoning someone, it should not be determined whether or not, this person's granted clemency, whether or not they're related to you or you know them or you owe them something, right? That goes against the very pardoning power of a president. But I think this about face is so fascinating because he was asked directly about whether or not his son would be pardoned.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
He said it several times. He said it a second time when he was asked by ABC's anchor, David Muir.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
So this is a broken promise. And what it does, whether you agree with it or not, whether you agree that Hunter Biden should have been prosecuted or not, it speaks to, I think, the distrust that we have of politicians, where they say whatever sounds nice, whatever is politically expedient, because when he was saying these things, President Biden was still running for a second term. This was before he dropped out, so he's saying all the right things. Now that President Trump has been reelected, he has no political backlash. President Biden has no more political backlash. That just speaks to the distrust of politicians, I think, that we inherently have.
Well, as part of this pardon, he gives them a full and unconditional pardon, meaning for any offenses that he may not have even been caught for over more than a 10-year period, almost an 11-year period, from January 1st, 2014 to December 1st, 2024. Now, it's been no secret that Hunter Biden has wrestled and dealt with addiction issues. We've talked about crack cocaine. We've talked about cocaine in his past. And the president addresses this to some extent. Let me read you the statement, and it is quite a lot lengthier than I thought it would be. So he acknowledges that he signed the pardon as of yesterday. And then from the day I took office, he acknowledges that he said he would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and he kept his word, even as he's watched his son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. And then he goes on to say, without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely from how they filled out a gun form.
And people are almost never pulled over for speeding. Compared to the people that speed right now down the freeway, it's 1,000 to 1, right? We have a ton of people that speed. It still doesn't change the fact that when you do get pulled over for going 80 and a 70, you still broke the law. And what is interesting, he said, I will not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making. This was his Department of Justice. Mm-hmm. That really stood out to me, that this was done with the full knowledge that this is the president's son. Every step they took moving forward, they knew full well that this was the president's son.
He also says those who are late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It's clear that Hunter was treated differently.
Again, treated differently by your Department of Justice. Now, I think there's a fair discussion to be had here about, is this lawfare? Is this political pressure coming from one side or the other that is forcing the Department of Justice to prosecute crimes that they normally wouldn't? That exact same argument that President Biden is making right now is the exact same argument that President-elect Trump has been making for the last several years, saying that I'm being unfairly targeted because my last name is Trump.
President Biden went on to say, no reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong.
Yes, and I would agree with President Biden here, where getting singled out because of your last name and being unfairly targeted, that is wrong. It's wrong if your last name is Biden. It's wrong if your last name's Trump. We don't want special accommodations made for your last name. We don't want you to be targeted because of your last name. But that being said, when you break the law and the jury comes to this conclusion, they say, yeah, you're absolutely guilty. Not everybody has the free pass that Hunter Biden has, where your president, your dad's the president. And that's what feels icky, I think.
I want to finish this out by reading this last, I think it's the last paragraph. He says, "For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further." And he says, "I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision."
And I think as a father, or as a mother, I think we can see the temptation to sweep in and rescue our children. But I don't get a pardon for my son. If my son commits some sort of a crime, I don't get that do-over or get out of jail free card. I don't have that same luxury. He's trying to connect with me on a paternal level, but you can't, because I can't do this. I don't have the power to wave my magic wand and get my kid out of jail like you do, which is why I think many people will look at it as an abuse of power, saying, you know what, I won't do it for your son, but I'll do it for mine.
But he's not the first president to pardon a family member. Far from it. Let's get into that next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
If you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, you are not alone. There are millions of Americans that have family members that are struggling with addiction. It's why I love what Renaissance Ranch offers, because they're not looking just at the person with addictions. They're looking at the family in its entirety.
Right, because they understand that you really do have to help the entire family through this. And I love the fact that Renaissance Ranch continues to offer and has been offering free family support services through weekly online classes that are, like I said, they're free and they are open to the public.
Yeah, it's just something, it's a Zoom meeting, right? And you can attend. You don't need to sign up. You can just attend these classes. They're taught for spouses, for parents. They come from a personal perspective. There's a women's support group and even a couples recovery group.
Renaissance Ranch is Utah's best in state, winning substance abuse and mental health treatment provider, and they are fabulous at what they do.
They've been doing it for more than 20 years. Find out more and go ahead and find those free online classes that are open to the public at renaissanceranch.com.
Dear Santa, thank you for brightening up my Christmas. It made it a lot better. Thank you for the shoes. I'm very grateful for the presents because I usually don't get too much. So that really brightens this year up for me. Also, on behalf of my mother, thank you.
At KSL, it's our hope that every child will have a warm and joyful holiday season. Please donate generously to KSL's Quarters for Christmas.
Every dollar raised goes to buy shoes and warm clothes for Utah children in need. Give what you can at kslquarters.com.
Would you like some cash this Christmas? Who wouldn't? You can get cash this Christmas when you transfer your auto loans or your credit card balances to UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union. First of all, you're going to take advantage of their low interest rate, so that's going to save you money. But here's the kicker. You get 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer. So, for instance, let's say you have a $21,000 car loan. You move it over to UCCU, you drive away with $210 cash in your pocket. So transfer those auto loans and credit card balances. I don't know what you're paying on your credit card, but the interest rate, I'm sure, is way higher than what you're going to pay at UCCU. And you get those lower interest rates and you get 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer. This is so easy to do. You just open UCCU's mobile banking app, or you can visit uccu.com/transfer. That's uccu.com/transfer. At Utah Community Credit Union, you're going to love where you bank.
Dave and I in the midst right now of a special hour of President Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter. Well, Leah Murray and Taylor Morgan will pick it up from here at 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock on Inside Sources. Tune in for more insights and analysis from both political insiders, Leah and Taylor, on President Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter Biden, starting at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath. It's all about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-day kitchen and bath.
It's about time someone offered you a complete custom bathroom designed for stylish independent living in just 3 days. It's about time someone offered you a written, unconditional 100% satisfaction guarantee on both their quality and craftsmanship. It's about time someone helped you design a safe and stylish bathroom with the luxury of a walk-in tub or the convenience of an easy entry shower. Whether you have an immediate safety need or you just want to prepare for an independent future in your own home, check them out on the web at 3daykitchen.com or call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath for your free design consultation today. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. It's about time.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
This Christmas, give a gift that strengthens faith and brings lasting peace. In his new book, The Rock of Our Redeemer, David A. Bednar invites you to anchor your life to Jesus Christ. Through divine invitations, Elder Bednar shows you how to deepen your covenant connection, increase your spiritual knowledge, and gather gospel truths. This book is perfect for loved ones seeking strength to press on through Jesus Christ. The Rock of Our Redeemer by David A. Bednar. Available now at desertbook.com and in stores.
Black Friday specials on now at Mr. Mac. And collar stretch shirts, $36. Mission belts, 30% off. Black Friday savings throughout the store. Now through Cyber Monday at all 9 Mr. Mac stores.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First inversion season is back, and we could be dealing with bad air along the Wasatch Front for at least the next week. Second, President Joe Biden will pardon his son Hunter. It's a bold move from the president after he pledged he would not be pardoning him from his felony gun and tax evasion charges. And third, a Sevier County man is facing charges after he accidentally shot a man in the head while supposedly aiming for a skunk on his property. He's facing negligent homicide charges. Right now, it's 33 degrees downtown. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic.
You know, just moments ago in our special hours of coverage of President Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter, KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas told us, typical person on the street likely would not have been brought up on the charges that Hunter Biden was brought up on, but sometimes the government, does step in to make an example.
The government has to pick and choose. He was certainly a high-profile defendant. Certainly they want to make an example so that the public will know that these are not offenses that we're just going to walk away from. But the man on the street, typically who didn't have the name Biden, would not have been charged under these same facts.
However, President Biden is certainly not the first president to pardon a family member. So let's get into that.
So there's a couple things that go through my head, and I would like to do a little bit more research. We've actually reached out to see if there's the right voice to this. Is why do we have a presidential pardon anyway in the first place? Like fundamentally, why is that an important part?
Like how did it get
of the
started?
presidency? Yeah,
what's the history of it?
Right, because the governor has it on the state level where he can pardon people from state crimes. Often there's a clemency power for governors as well. So I'll set that aside, but I think that's an important question of like, what's the purpose of this? Because if at its foundation it's say, you know what, the justice system just flat out got it wrong. The judge and the jury, whatever reasons, somebody's got to be able to step in and make a wrong right. That's kind of how I interpret it. So as we hear this today, anytime somebody's pardoned, I want that why, right? I want to, okay, well, what wrong are you righting now? And I was surprised to find out that, and I guess maybe I knew this, I hadn't realized it was so common, that 3 other presidents besides President Biden have pardoned a family member.
Because when you brought this up in our morning meeting this morning, my mind went to Nixon and Ford, and Watergate and the pardon, right? But usually like, no, let's talk about family members. And then you we came up with this list of presidents who have indeed pardoned family members. None of them their sons or their daughters. So let's set that aside. It's not their offspring here, but it is people who they are related to.
Well, let's go back to the Carter family.
Okay.
Right.
The 70s.
Jimmy Carter back in the 70s had a brother, Billy Carter, who was a major headache for Jimmy Carter. He's the older brother. He became an agent of the government of Libya. Like, Libya was literally paying him 3 trips. He landed and met with Muammar Gaddafi. Receipts of hundreds of thousands of dollars of payments from the Libyans. And this was the influence peddling that he was convicted of, that he was working unofficially with Libya. It's one thing if the president says, hey, listen, you got to go, you can negotiate as an ambassador or a diplomat. Billy Carter was not any of those things, but he was still receiving money from the Libyan government, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that was a massive issue for Carter. And then, obviously, Jimmy Carter pardons his brother Billy. So that was Billygate back in the 70s.
Okay. Clinton.
So, Clinton, yeah. So
okay, Bill Clinton, he issues a pardon. I'd forgotten about this one.
Yeah, he had a brother, Roger Clinton, a half brother, and this one was a little bit. I don't want to say small potatoes, I guess, comparatively speaking, right? He had a drug charge. He was caught trying to buy cocaine from an undercover, undercover police officer. Had been obviously convicted of that, so he had that drug charge. He spent time in prison, and then there was another level to it that he had been essentially seduced or bribed by the Gambino crime family. He was wearing like a $50,000 Rolex watch, and then what he was trying to do is get one of the Gambinos out of prison, trying to get his brother Bill Clinton to pardon someone in the Gambino crime family. Now that thing kind of had escalated. So you had the drug charge, you had some of these rumors of his influence peddling to his brother, trying to get some organized crime folks out of prison, and Bill Clinton pardoned Roger Clinton for that as well.
For the drug charges in the 1980s.
Right.
So it was kind of after the fact.
Yeah, right, yeah. He'd already served his time.
Because I think when we think of a pardon, we think of, for example, President Biden pardons his son Hunter days before he's scheduled to be sentenced. So he does not go to prison. In fact, his attorneys have already filed the paperwork, basically like the sentencing phase will not happen. So pardons can happen after the fact, after people have served their time. And the reason people want to be pardoned is because it gives them certain rights that they might not have had if they're still a felon or considered a convicted felon. So they definitely want to try to get a pardon from a president because it kind of washes their record clean. And that brings us to President Trump and his pardon of a family member, not a direct family member, but still a family member through marriage.
Yeah, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's married to Ivanka. So his father, Charles Kushner, had been convicted in what was really one of the more wild scenarios. So he was actually prosecuted back by Chris Christie, so former New Jersey governor, when he was the U.S. attorney. So he was the one that prosecuted Charles Kushner. And at its core, Christie calls it one of the most loathsome and disgusting crimes that he ever participated in or had ever prosecuted. But he was there was a illegal campaign contributions. But the one that was really, I guess, bombastic was this witness retaliation. So somebody that had really turned him over or had been a
like a confidential informant. for
yeah,
the
but
case?
except it was a brother-in-law. That's what I was trying to think. So his brother-in-law basically testifies against Charles Kushner. So what Charles Kushner does is he hires a prostitute to seduce his brother-in-law, and then he records the sexual encounter, and then he sends that to his sister. So that was the punishment. He's like, you're gonna testify against me. Well, I'm gonna hire a prostitute, record it, and then send it. So that was what happened with the Kushners.
I didn't know those details. Or are you? Where's that? Is that like
New York Times
New York
covered
Times
this?
is
Yeah,
covering
yeah,
it.
yeah. New York
okay.
Times covered this extensively.
Okay.
So again, this was one of the things. This was who Trump had pardoned. This was the family member that Trump had pardoned.
So it was his son-in-law's dad he pardoned,
Yeah.
Charles Kushner.
Right. Now what's interesting about Charles Kushner is he was just named to be the ambassador to France by President Trump.
Right. So with his pardon, that means he can now enjoy a different lifestyle than he would if he's a convicted felon. Or if he's been convicted of crimes. And he was named by President Trump or President-elect Trump to be the next U.S. ambassador to France.
Yeah. So how the mighty have fallen, right? I mean, this is a man that was very successful in business, ran a hedge fund worth over $2 billion, and then obviously gets caught up in this and is convicted, gets pardoned by Trump, and now he's ambassador to France.
Yeah.
So it's not just Biden that has done this. This has happened several times before.
We'll continue our special hour of coverage of President Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter, by looking at the politics of all of this in our 11 o'clock hour.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Our air quality is deteriorating. Could be about a week before it finally gets better. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
A higher pressure system has returned to the region, which will keep storms away and allow air pollution to build for the next 6 days or so. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says we're generally going to see air quality that's moderate or unhealthy for sensitive groups, but some monitors in Davis and Salt Lake County, he says, could reach the unhealthy rating as early as Thursday.
Matt says we could get some wind or a storm on Sunday and Monday. Those could help clear out the air. A man from Highland who was responsible for a 6-car crash has been sentenced to 180 days in jail and 3 years on probation. The man admitted to being under the influence at the time of the crash. Multiple people were injured. One spent time in the hospital in critical condition. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has often said President Biden would not consider a pardon for his son Hunter. Today, she found herself defending his decision to issue a pardon. She told reporters aboard Air Force One the president wrestled with the decision, but ultimately decided that Hunter's prosecution was motivated by politics. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is down on the day right now, 114 points, while the NASDAQ is up 201. And our KSL weather, that polluted air is going to stick around for the next several days. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And here's Heather Kelly.
Things are running very smoothly right now on the I-15 corridor throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. That's both northbound and southbound. The earlier fender benders we had down in Utah County have cleared. The only thing that you're seeing now is going to be a little bit delay in some of the road construction zones, especially on Bangerter Highway. Most of that heading eastbound in Bluffdale as you try to get to 2700 West, where we're down to 2 lanes. Looking for the best gift ever? That's what you get at Minky Couture, the original luxury blanket company. Use code KSL50 online and in stores to receive 50% off your purchase. Visit minkycouture.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny, but with diminishing air quality under an inversion layer. Highs in the mid-40s with lows in the 20s. And right now we're at 34 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
For months, we've been hearing complaints about inflation and tight family budgets. So you'd think Americans would be reining in spending this holiday season. You'd be wrong.
All we ever want is more, a lot more than we had before. So take me to the nearest shore. Can you hear the rain? It makes you wanna sing.
A little Shania Twain to set the scene.
Is that a new Shania? Is that an old Shania?
03.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an old Shania.
I don't know this one.
Yeah,
it was perfect.
Ka-ching.
Lots of money and things.
Oh my goodness! No, I didn't know that Shania song. I thought I knew all of Shania's stuff, but yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we do. All we ever want is more. We want more stuff. Okay, there's a couple reasons for this, and I'm gonna actually take maybe the unpopular opinion here.
Okay.
Which is, this is a great time to buy, and this is when you should buy. I'll walk you through my thinking instead of just being like Daddy Claus here.
Dave's on the sales floor this morning.
Totally.
Yeah, let me just set the scene a little bit more, Dave, before you go hog wild on your money spending take here. The numbers are crazy, and the Desert News broke them down. From November alone, online spending reached over $77 billion in the first 24 days of November, which is, I want to just say it's almost a 10% increase of growth compared to last year. And there is not a category of spending that is going untouched so far on our holiday spending spree.
And part of what is so hilarious about that $77 billion, that was before Thanksgiving.
Right.
It was before Black Friday and before Cyber Monday today.
You, in my view, have no room to complain. We have fielded your complaints about inflation for a year and a half. You're finger pointing at Washington, D.C. about the tight family budget you're having to endure because inflation is out of control. So I would have thought Black Friday shopping, there have been open parking spots. I'd be wrong. I would have thought people would be reining in their holiday budgets. Wrong again. I'm going to list off how much additional money is being spent on several different categories, whether it's furniture, clothing, cosmetics. Cosmetic budgets are tight. You don't need makeup. But Dave also has a pretty hot take on that, and he says, so what? This is great.
Okay, so this is why I'm not wringing my hands over holiday shopping.
Okay.
And that's in part because this is how we ran things at our house. Obviously, kids are constantly hitting up parents to buy them this and buy them that. And can I have this? Can I have that? Every time we go to the store. And one of the things that we did was if our kids said, hey, I really want this. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. That's a great thing to ask for your birthday. That's a great thing to ask Santa Claus for. So we were able to really delay the conversation, the immediate gratification the kids want. I want it and I want it now.
Okay.
Say, oh, that's great. Hey, whatever you want, save that. Make sure you ask Santa for it, and then we'll see if he gets it or not. And that way we were able to kind of push a lot of the conversations to specific times when we had money budgeted to pay for stuff. So it was always great to be able to say, okay, now what do you really want? What's on your Santa's list? Let's see what your list is. And then we could take that during Black Friday, during Cyber Monday, during the holiday season when all the great sales came, then we could spend the money that we had budgeted and get a good deal or, the best deal possible. So you may look at it and say, oh, wow, I can't believe you'd spend so much money on Black Friday. Well, it's because we weren't spending it nickel and diming ourselves throughout the entire year. We had budgeted it for this time of the year, so we spent it with all the good sales.
So you're a go big kind of dad.
Yeah, I'm not saying go big every month out of the year.
No, but
there are some times, Christmas, birthdays, Arbor Day, whatever holiday speaks to you. This was a great thing for us.
So Dave's go big, I'm stay home.
I don't get sucked into it.
No, well, you can't. You complain to our ears and our faces persistently about inflation. How much is this costing on your family budget? How you cannot make ends meet. And you have all of my sympathy in the world. And then you go and do this. It makes me feel like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth and you're just telling me a story that, makes me feel compassion for you or sad for you. But then you go and do this. You shop, you buy electronics at $17.7 billion worth of electronics in November, 11% increase over last year. You're buying up clothes. You spent $14.5 billion on clothes. You need not a thing. Your closet is full. I have done entire segments on shopping secondhand to save money. I've done the research. I've come on the radio. I've explained that I do it. Please try it too. No, you go and spend $14.5 billion last month on clothing, a 13.5% almost increase in spending year over year. And that's not all. Furniture, bedding, a 7% increase. Cosmetics, y'all dropped $3.2 billion on makeup and other stuff that you need for your face. $3.2 billion, a 10% increase over last year.
So
it's insane.
It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
The cosmetics, I'd like to speak to that just a little bit, right? I can't speak to whether or not you need makeup or not, but I can say this. One of the big reasons I think people are really leaning into the holiday season is the rise of social media influencers.
Okay.
Now, typically when we think about social media influencers in the past, it's always been, all right, who's the best football player, basketball star, LeBron James, what are they endorsing? I'm going to drink Sprite because LeBron drinks Sprite. But social media influencers, I have no idea who any of these people are. Right? I know the Kardashians, but largely what's happening with social media influencers, it's just regular people like you and me that have, several thousand followers, and they're just saying, hey, I tried out this makeup, for example, and then they show themselves, putting the makeup on, and you see this transformation, and then, oh yeah, make sure you click on my TikTok shop. This is where you can buy the makeup that I'm using right now for a discount. I think that's a really, really effective way of selling products, and I think we've gotten sucked into it because LeBron James is totally unrelatable, but some lady just putting on makeup
on your social media
on
feed.
your social media, that'll speak
watch.
to you, right? If somebody is like, hey, Dave, this is the latest, greatest pickleball paddle. And I don't need it to be Ben Johns. I don't need it to be James Ignatowicz. It can be just some person. They're like, hey, I'm a mediocre player, but this really helped me. That speaks to me more than the world's greatest pickleball player.
So are you suggesting that social media influencers may be driving this increase
I think
in
so.
sales?
Yeah. I think
our tendency to lean into buying a product we may or may not even like or need?
Right. No, I think it's a different kind of marketing that is exploding right now. It's been around for a long time, but I think it's been especially effective because it's not the celebrity. It's just the regular person that's selling it to you. And now I feel like I'm not being taken advantage of by the high-priced athlete. It's just, hey, that social media influencer is like me.
Yeah. So you're still a go big kind of guy.
This is a good time to do it because these are the greatest and best sales of the year. So this is where I say, I'm not saying spend all the time, but if you are going to spend, now's the time to do it. Okay. This is when all the deals are.
So are you on Team Dave, go big, spend now, save later? Or are you in Team Deb, stay home and stay offline? Pick a team, give us a call, 801-575-TALK. Give us your best argument. Why do you want to be on Dave's team or why do you want to be on my team? 801-575-TALK. Looking forward to your live calls next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
I don't know how you're feeling after Thanksgiving. If the amount of pie and stuffing and mashed potatoes has got you with the full-on Thanksgiving hangover, because that's exactly where I'm at. It's why I can't help but think about Salt Lake City fat loss. Obviously, during the holiday seasons, we're apt to put on a few extra pounds, but make a plan. And I'll tell you, I saw some incredible results with Salt Lake City fat loss. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. It was so effective. It wasn't easy, but boy, was it worth it. It was easier than I thought it was. That was a nice little surprise. So if you're interested and you want to make sure you lose some of that weight that you've gained over the holidays, plus a whole bunch more, make sure you reach out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss by going to their website, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive. Like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. Feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Join us at the Festival of Trees, a magical event benefiting the children at Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital. From December 4th to December 7th, the Mountain America Expo Center will transform into a winter wonderland of beautifully decorated trees, wreaths, and gingerbread houses, along with other fun-filled shops and activities. All funds raised help to create the nation's model health system for children. Together, we can make this holiday season a gift of love to change a child's life. Get tickets at festivalofTreesUtah.org.
Ooh, we got a question. Brian W. asks, it's the holiday season and I'm looking for deals. Is Xfinity having a Black Friday sale?
Well, Brian, we got you covered. Get iPhone 16 Pro on us. Just ask us how. Plus, you can also get fast, reliable Xfinity Internet with a line of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited for a great low price.
So don't wait. Bring home a new iPhone 16 Pro built for Apple Intelligence.
And connect to reliable 5G and Wi-Fi speeds up to a gig on Xfinity Mobile.
That's a big deal.
More like a gig deal.
Now through December 3rd, ask how to get the new iPhone 16 Pro on us with an unlimited Plus line. Plus, get Xfinity Gigabit Internet with free Wi-Fi equipment for only $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract when you add unlimited mobile. Go to Xfinity.com/Black Friday sale to learn more. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Gig speeds available via hotspots to Xfinity Mobile customers only. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Actual internet speeds and data thresholds may vary.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, pollution is building up in the inversion layer trapped in the valleys of the Wasatch Front. Second, President Biden's press secretary says he wrestled with the decision to pardon his son Hunter. And third, a state senator says restaurants located inside grocery stores currently pay less sales tax than others, and he's filed a bill to change that. 34 degrees and mostly sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
My eyeballs just became just so wide when I saw these numbers. The amount of money that everybody has been spending leading up to Black Friday is shocking. It's just shocking. $17.7 billion spent on electronics, which is an 11% increase over last year. $14.5 billion on clothing, a 13% increase over last year. Deseret News did this amazing breakdown on the amount of money that we have been spending over the last several weeks, and I'm just shocked by it. I'm shocked given that y'all have been complaining about inflation and tight family budgets. I'm on team stay home, stay offline. Dave, however, is on.
This is the perfect time to buy. I don't know if I've just been sold a bill of goods there. I just think this is the best time to buy. This is when all the sales are. I get it. A little tight in the wallet. Things aren't easy, but you're going to buy it anyway. Why not set a budget? This is what we do. We set a budget. And then we find the best deals. And this is when the best deals are. Why wouldn't you buy right now?
Well, because we can't afford to. This could be the best time, best Christmas ever to say, hey, kids, let's have a conversation. We got to cut back. Mom and Dad have been complaining about inflation. We've been talking about inflation, how the cost of everything has gone up and up and up. So we're going to have a skinny Christmas this year. We're going to play more games as a family. We're going to go check out the Christmas lights. We're going to do lots of fun things and make wonderful memories. But instead, no.
All we ever want is more. A lot more than we had before.
Y'all out
So take me to the
spending. And the numbers are staggering. So for the next few weeks, Deb's on team stay home. It's okay. It's okay to tell the kids and family members we're cutting back this year. 801-575-TALK, your live calls.
Let's start off with Jake in Magna. Jake, are you team Dave? Like, this is a great time to spend, or team Deb, stay home?
Well, I would say I'm kind of split. I'm with you, Dave, as far as like saying if you're going to spend, like now is the time because of it being Black Friday, because then you can save on the holiday spending down the road. But I am certainly with Debbie if your budget is that thin. I mean, being a parent, I'm like, I'm going to spend money on my kids just to ensure that they feel happy. But for me and my wife, I won't worry about spending on us if the budget is that thin, because we know what our priorities are at that point. I will just, if you don't mind me taking just an additional 10 seconds on your previous segment, I just want to say that Biden's decision may have been influenced by the FBI choice elect over the last couple of days being Kash Patel. That could have swayed his decision.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jake, for that take. We'll get more into that in the 11 o'clock hour of the show when we continue our conversation. What Jake was referring to was our 1 hour special hour, actually, of covering the Biden pardon of his son, Hunter.
Yeah, and we will continue that conversation later on in the show, and appreciate the phone call. Thanks a lot, Jake. 801-575-TALK. Where do you land? Debbie was shocked at the amount of money that we've spent during Black Friday, even before Black Friday, $77 billion before the Black Friday week, before Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. $77 billion was already spent, which shocked her. She's like, you guys, you can't complain about the budget being tight and then go out and spend $77 billion.
And let me just drill down a little bit more. That was online spending, according to the Desert News.
Online?
Reached over $77 billion in the first 24 days of November 2024, which is up almost 10% over last year compared to 2023. And to me, look, we have just wrapped up an election cycle where so many people admitted, look, I voted because of the economy. I voted because of my personal financial situation. And yet we turn around and we go out and spend record amounts of money, even before Black Friday hits. In fact, Caitlin Johnson, I'll ask our producer, can you do a little quick research there in the control room for us? What were the Black Friday numbers? Do we have the retail numbers from Black Friday yet? Because I'm curious to know if maybe what we did is we spent a lot of money leading up to Black Friday, and then we just decided to sort of only pack the malls on Black Friday.
I think the key here, at least the way I think about it, is this is not a Black Friday issue. This is a budget issue. Now, I say throughout the year, you've got to be preparing for this moment, right? You've got to be preparing for how are we going to fill the stockings? What are we going to put under the tree? And if you set a budget and you can stick to that budget, then what better time than Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when all of these doorbuster deals happen to spend your money? Now, if you have to adjust, right? Sometimes the budget is big, sometimes the budget is super small, but I think this is the perfect time to purchase because as long as you stay within the budget, what do I care if you spend it in July or you spend it in November?
Not only were clothing purchases up, electronic purchases up, furniture and bedding purchases up, makeup, cosmetic purchases up, but also groceries up 16, almost 17%. From last year. Spent $17.5 billion shopping groceries. So our food budgets are up as well. Team Dave, this person says at 57500 on our text line, Dave. So you've got to, you're winning so far. I've saved all year This person says to budget for Christmas, able to get 13 grandkids each a shirt, pair of pajamas, and socks at a high-end store for under $200 by stacking discounts and coupons. Write us back. Text us back at 57500. Tell me what store. I'm curious. We're getting more phone calls as well.
Let's go to Trevor in Ogden. Trevor, what do you think?
I think Debbie's underestimating how many people are in the situation of, I'm never going to get ahead in life. I'm never going to be able to afford a house. Nothing I do budget-wise is ever going to get me ahead. I'm never going to pay all my debts off. So I might as well at least enjoy some of my life.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I think there is that's a great point, a certain segment of the population who feels so worn down by the costs of everything, particularly housing costs, rent costs, that they're just going to try to live for today. Because they keep trying to save for tomorrow, and it's like grasping at ropes of sand. Every time they save a few $1,000s, that house they were going to buy went up by $10,000. Or interest rates go up. We thought they were going to come down. Now they're going up. So their house payment's going to cost them more. They're frustrated. They're worn down. And so they're doing a little retail therapy.
Yeah, it's kind of a fatalistic way of looking at things where you think, you know what, it's all predetermined. I'm not going to get there. I'm never going to get a house. So therefore, I'm going to throw common sense to the wind. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that I haven't done that exact same thing, right? Retail therapy, you're a little depressed, so you buy you something that you've been waiting for. But I think there are ways to do it. We just have to change the way we approach it.
Aaron, Cache County, hi.
Hi.
Good morning. Have you already bought stuff for Christmas?
Yes, ma'am. I've got our Christmas about half done, I guess you could say.
So are you on Team Deb, shop, stay home, or are you on Team Dave, shop till you drop?
I guess I'm kind of on both.
Okay.
Because I see some sense in waiting, and not panic buying, but also with the current political environment and not knowing how prices are going to be affected at all, there's, I think, a good portion of the population that feels like, well, I better just buy it now, just on the off chance that, suddenly I have to pay 20 to who knows what % more for things that I was going to buy.
So you're speaking.
So I don't know that it's necessarily just people being irresponsible. I think they're getting ahead of it. Came before Black Friday is kind of telling, in that people were like, well, I'm just going to buy this so that I have it and I don't have to deal with, tariffs or imports, exports, or all that other nonsense later.
Yeah, that's kind of a common thing for when inflation is booming as well. As people, if inflation is out of control, the idea is get tangible goods in your hand right now, because who knows what it's going to cost later. And as we hear you talking about some of these things, yeah, it sounds like you're a little bit nervous about tariffs and what those could mean to your bottom line.
Well, let me just leave you on this note. Our producer, Caitlin, did some quick research here and found that Forbes is reporting that Adobe Analytics is saying $10.8 billion in the U.S. on online sales on Black Friday, which is up 10.2% over last year.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bamas. KSL's top story this hour: vendors from the Redwood Swap Meet will need to find a new location come spring. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit has more.
These vendors will have their last swap meet on the weekend of the 22nd, but after that, they'll be looking for a new location. The landowners of the current location are selling to Edge Homes, where they're going to develop 300 new housing units. It's a rezone decision that many vendors strongly oppose, and they tell KSL TV they make their livelihood from the swap meet, and some don't know how else to make money until that new location is found.
The supporters of the rezone are stressing the importance of landowners' rights. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: following the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Lebanon last week, talks between Israel and Hamas pick back up. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Tel Aviv with more.
Right now, Hamas says that it's ready to hear any and all proposals. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu held a cabinet meeting. He has said that he is ready for a ceasefire. The parties, including Qatar and Egypt and the U.S. and Israel and Hamas, are in Egypt to discuss the proposals.
An American who was thought to be among the remaining hostages in Gaza is now believed to be dead. He was an Israeli soldier who likely died the day of the initial Hamas attack on October 7th last year. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 158 points on the day right now, while the NASDAQ is up 192. And our KSL weather, sunny if you don't mind all the air pollution. That's next. KSL News, 1032.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest-standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Guys, it's finally here. Wendy's new salted caramel frosty. It's cold, salted, yet perfectly sweet, delicious, and it's at the top of Santa's Christmas list. What? Santa has a list too, you know. And he's a huge salted caramel frosty fan. Probably why he's so jolly all the time. The iconic frosty with a salted caramel twist? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Salted caramel frosty flavored with other natural flavors.
Tim and Amanda.
Do I look forward to reporting the news? Yes, insofar as it helps me understand what's happening.
We know that it's important information that's going to impact people's lives, and so that makes the job of reporting the news that day easier.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And here's Heather Kelly.
We remain accident-free right now on all the city streets and major freeways throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties. It's also a pretty good drive from Tooele County on SR 36, I-80, and the 201 freeway, and no problems going into the mountains on I-84, I-80, or Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. Calling all Grinches, reclaim your holiday spirit at Abravanel Hall with holiday performances by Utah Symphony. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny, but with diminishing air quality under an inversion layer. Highs in the mid-40s with lows in the 20s. And right now we're at 36 degrees, mostly sunny. Listen online at KSL News Radio, where I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
You think on this for just a few seconds. Well, I'm going to lay the groundwork for this discussion. We get this article from the Deseret News, and then Dave's got a hot take, he says. I'm looking forward to it. What income level would make you feel financially successful? What income level? Like, if you could just think of it, what's reasonable? I know you're saying $10 billion. No, what's reasonable? What income level? Would it be $100K, $200K? Would it be $50K? Would it be, let's say, $587,000 a year?
Sounds very specific, Debbie. $587,000, that is the magic number for me.
We're going to break down this survey and this article that the Deseret News wrote about. The survey was done by Empower, and they surveyed 2,200 Americans 18 years and older. And they really found was very, very curious to me about different age groups, different age demographics feel much differently about their income level and success. But $587,000, that seems so out of reach for so many.
So that what does that 587 mean?
$587,000 is the income level that Gen Zers, what age group is Gen Z? I never remember off the top of my head. They're the younger generation. Considers
in their 20s-ish.
Yeah, the benchmark for financial success is $587,000. Gen Z.
You know what that tells me?
No.
Gen Z has no idea how much money is being paid by companies. Like if you think 587 is the number, let me just break this down. Only 1% of America makes over $500,000. Are you that 1 in 100 person? And if that's what a Gen Z thinks, like that's what we got to make, you're asking to be in the top 1% of the nation. That is staggering.
That's called goals, Dave.
Wait, sure, it can be a goal. Yeah. How about this? How about a dose of reality? Because part of the problem we have right now is I don't think our kids have any understanding of what jobs are paying right now. I pulled up Bankrate. They did some great research here on college majors and what the average salary is for college majors. This is for the top, I won't name all 10 because it's very simple to narrow it down. If you want to make over $90,000 on average with your college, you better go into engineering. Mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, chemical engineering, electrical, all of those make somewhere between $95,000 and $110,000. So if you have two people in your family, both are electrical engineers, making $110,000 a year, you're topping out at $220,000, or you're making $220,000, right? I mean, that's not even in the ballpark of the $587,000 that they think they need to be comfortable. You're not going to make $587,000. Let's have a dose of reality and make sure that we know what job we're going into and what it takes to make that money, because the chances are you're not the 1 in 100.
I think it can be done. Actually, I come at this from a much different perspective, Dave. I think it can be done. I think if you've got two people, I think maybe this 587 is for a couple. It's not necessarily for an individual, but I feel like this is achievable. People are doctors, lawyers, nurses, real estate agents, people who are in the tech industry, people who sell software, people who invent things, CPAs. I think there are quite a few people out there who are making several $100,000 a year and feel like they could do even better than that they've set goals that are even higher than that. And then if they have a spouse who is making $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 a year, I think it's really easy to see where you could get to $600,000 a year. And that's where our Gen Z populate, which is, by the way, 1997, people born between 97 and 2012, so do the math. My oldest was born in 96. My youngest was born in 99. So my son, my daughter, two of them right in that group feel as though that's achievable. And I say, good for them. Go for it. Why not?
Because the numbers don't prove it out. Sure, you've mentioned some very high-end jobs, right? If I'm working for Google, yeah, then it's going to be great. I can make $500,000 a year. But the numbers just don't prove that to be the case. Only 10% of America is making over $160,000. That's 1 out of 10 people. That means 9 of those 10 people are making less than $160,000. So I think it's very important just that we're honest with ourselves and say, okay, we probably need to readjust our expectations. Are you that 1 in 100? Are you that 1 in 10? What career are you going into? And then once you get into that career, if you do want to make $500,000, is there any possible way to make $500,000, right? You need to have these serious conversations. And it's one thing I don't think we do a great job at our universities, giving kids honest expectations of what you can expect to make coming out of college.
Well, it may be no surprise then that baby boomers, people who are 60 to 78 years old, feel that $100,000 annually is financial success. Like, look, the fact is baby boomers were buying homes when they were $18,000.
Right.
Okay. And a six-figure salary felt like a ton of money. And just to achieve a six-figure salary felt as though like you had won the lottery. You're just so successful. So I think that their vision or their expectation of financial success at $100,000 is skewed because it's based on what things cost back in the 60s and 70s. Nobody's scoring a home these days anywhere in America that I'm aware of that's $18,000.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you bought a house for $50,000, it changes everything.
And now you ask Gen Z, and they're looking at just a home with that green avocado toilet and a roof that needs to be changed is going to cost them $550,000, and they got to come up with $100,000 to update the thing. So I think what we have here are two totally different ideas of what financial success are based on what the economy looks like right now for a younger generation. They can't help but want to achieve $600K so they can afford. Look, when you bought a home many years ago, there was a good chance your salary, your annual income, was more than the actual cost of that home. Think about that. Today, there's no way.
Ago.
Yeah, but still, even in the 90s. Do you know the first home I looked at in Sandy in 1991, early 91, when I was out looking for homes, was $54,000. Now, it was way bigger than a single 23, 24-year-old woman needed. It was 4 bedrooms, 2 baths on a quarter-acre lot in a neighborhood in Sandy. It was $54,000. So things have changed, you say a lot of years ago, but even in the time that I've lived in Utah, think about that. I couldn't go buy that home now for anywhere near that. It would be add $500K to that.
Yeah, it's insane. We've seen, especially in the housing market, these prices explode. I mean, I know you wish you would have purchased 30 of these homes.
3
right?
homes. Yeah, I couldn't have afforded them, but yeah 3 homes.
But that's the thing is with inflation and salary inflation, it hasn't kept up. Our salaries have not kept up with homes, and it has changed a great deal. But I look at this and I think Gen Z, if your expectation is almost $600,000, like that's how much you need to bring in. How about a little reality check here, parents?
Well, let's give them that with a phone call. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Are our kids today out of line, over the top, when they say that $587,000, according to the survey, is the mark of financial success? Do you agree or disagree with that? Your live call is next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Les Olson IT is now a Rico Graphic Arts and Production Systems dealer. Rico chose Les Olson because of our reputation for superior service and national recognition. Les Olson IT chose Rico Graphics because they're the best value compared to other commercial-grade printers. Rico excels in high volume, high speed, high resolution, and offers an exciting fifth color. Learn more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Black Friday specials going on now at all 9 Mr. Mac stores. Sure to make you look great. Check out these amazing savings at Mr. Mac. And collar stretch shirts now only $36. And collar stretch pants now only $45. Mission belts 30% off all styles. And many more Black Friday specials store-wide at Mr. Mac. Available now through Cyber Monday at all 9 Mr. Mac stores.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Wendy's new mushroom bacon cheeseburger. Roasted mushrooms, crispy bacon, Munster cheese, and creamy garlic spread on Wendy's fresh, never frozen beef for a limited time only. Gotta be Wendy's.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, vendors who've been part of the swap meet at the old Redwood Drive-In have been told to leave later this month. Second, it's one of those bad air weeks when an inversion traps polluted air in the valleys of the Wasatch Front. Third, now that a ceasefire has been worked out between Israel and Hezbollah, attention is turning to working out a deal with Hamas in Gaza. 37 degrees, mostly sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and I just talking about this survey that was in the Deseret News. It was run by Empower, and they asked more than 2,000 Americans, like, what price point do you consider your income to be financial success? And Gen Zers set that at benchmark at about $587,000 a year. And Dave went, what?
That sounds insane. Let's manage some expectations here, kids. Not going to make that.
Baby boomers, in contrast, older generation, say $100,000 a year. And I broke down just moments ago why I think there's a different, 2 different schools of thought here. I mean, baby boomers were buying homes when they were $18,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Well, Gen Zers, much younger generation, kids in their 20s, adults in their 20s, are looking at homes that are at least $550,000, and that's a home that needs work done on it. So they have to set that benchmark high because where things are at economically and fiscally for them.
Kim C. Gardner has done some great research to this here in Utah. To be able to afford a home, an average home, you need to make about $130,000 a year. So when I look at, we just got to manage expectations. I think it's just important to have very clear data on what things cost, right? If you want to own a home, you got to make $130,000. However you want to do that, if that's a dual income or a single income, but that's the goal. When you say almost $600,000, that's less than 1% of America.
Yeah.
And I think that right there, we got to manage expectations and set reasonable goals, because that sounds to me like a completely unreasonable goal.
Maybe they're looking at concerns here about Social Security being in existence when they become of age to collect Social Security. So they're having to feel like they have to save more for retirement. They're looking at the rate of inflation. They're looking at the cost of groceries. They want to travel. There's a lot of things that they may want to do over the course of their life that's going to require more than $100,000 a year. 801-575-TALK. Is the $587,000 a year benchmark just too high? Taking live calls.
Let's start off with Adam in American Fork. Adam, what do you think?
Hey, I think that there's two good conversations happening here. Dave, to your point, I think that kids coming out of college, that their expectation of over $500,000, that's unrealistic. They don't understand what a realistic first job out of college pays. And I'm bringing this to the table with, I have about a decade of tech recruiting experience for companies here in Silicon Slopes, companies in Silicon Valley. And so as I would interview and talk with candidates about, cool, tell me your compensation expectations, what are you expecting? Sometimes you would get kind of ridiculous numbers for someone who has 1 to 2 or 0 years of work experience on their resume. And others would come to it, expect, if I'm going to make $50,000, $60,000 in my first job out of college, great, I'm happy with that. And then, Deb, to your point, I think that the high income, high earning type of roles that you cited, those might be earning $500,000 a year, but they're going to be 15, 20 years into a career as a CPA or as a lawyer or something that's going to be high earning, but they're not making that right out of college. That's 15 to 20 years.
Well, I think so I know what you're saying. I hear you. What I think we need to say is that this is what they're setting as what they want to achieve as financial success. So I'm looking at that 587 as something over their lifetime of earning. At some point, they feel like that almost $600,000 mark is going to qualify them in their mind for financial success. Whereas a baby boomer looks at it and says, "Oh, I'll make $100,000 a year. I'm going to be happy with that." That's a baby boomer's definition of financial success. So I don't think we're looking at this right out of college. I think they're looking at this when they look at the survey over the course of a career, and I think it is achievable.
I just don't know how you see that it's achievable, other than if you are that 1% of America that has one of those high-paying jobs, right? If you're a high-end lawyer, trust me, there's a lot of lawyers that are not making anywhere near $500,000, or even doctors that are not making $500,000. It's just I think we have to manage expectations in part, and I think this is why it's healthy to manage expectations. You don't want to feel like a failure if you don't achieve that, right? You can be perfectly happy, making far less than that in whatever that ends up being. Maybe it's $100,000 and you can be happy with that, or $200,000, whatever it might be. But I think we can manage expectations and have a more reasonable understanding of, okay, how many people are really going to make this $587,000? David in Ogden, what do you think?
Well, I know in my case, I've never made over about 35, 40,000. I am a boomer, and I retired a few years ago. But here's the thing: it's success. I think is your point of view. If you make $20,000 a year and you spend 25, that's not successful. If you make 20,000 and you spend 5,000, I'd call that successful. So if these people are making $500,000 a year, but they're spending $1 million, that's not successful.
That's true. Yeah, you can spend through whatever you make. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it's you have to be creative. Like I bought my house in 1996. It cost $70,000. It was a HUD house, and you know what that means. It took a lot of work. I bought it as is. I've spent the last 20 years fixing this place up. A little at a time, done it myself, mostly, hired contractors whenever I absolutely had to. The house is worth, $400,000 right now, and I'm still working on it. It's kind of become a hobby. I live on about $3,000 a month. Every other year, I take a long vacation, and I don't mean I fly to Florida for the weekend. I get in my car and I drive, my wife and family, and we've seen all 49 states. And next year we're going to Hawaii. But
you're taking it off the list then. You're taking off all the states off the list. That's cool. And I think what I hear you saying here is, I would love to be able to travel once or twice or 3 times a year, but according to your budget, you can do it every other year.
Hi, Jean. We've got about 30 seconds for your take.
The kids, I have a 33-year-old son. He came out of college, saved quickly for a house. He now rents that out. He has built a house for himself. His key is that he manages his spending all the time.
That's awesome.
He has traveled. He makes about $120,000 as an engineer. He contributes to his IRA faithfully. The key is to manage your spending.
The key is absolutely. It's never really about what you earn. It is usually almost always about what you spend. Now, there are certain circumstances where people get medical bills they weren't anticipating. They get diagnosed with a disease that they need to fight, and financially it becomes outrageously expensive. But you're absolutely right, Jean. You hit it on the head. It is not about what you earn. It is about what you spend.
I look at that $587,000. It's so unrealistic. To be in the top 5% of American earners, that's less than $300. That's $290,000. That's just for $290,000. If Gen Z is expecting double that, it's a goal that is unrealistic, and I think we need to be more honest with our kids of what wages are out there.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A Utah lawmaker wants restaurants operating inside grocery stores to charge the same amount of sales tax as every other restaurant. Senator Lincoln Fillmore says eateries inside the stores are charging 1% less in sales tax than other restaurants, and he's proposed a bill that would make it so they are charging that extra 1%.
The marketplace is fair, regardless of what the tax rates are or the fiscal impact of any bill. The tax treatment ought to be equal based on the product that you're selling and to whom you're selling it.
Fillmore says he plans to present a bill for a potential vote in the upcoming legislative session. Police have identified the man involved in a Thanksgiving shooting. Actually, 2 men. Police say 40-year-old Keith Miller and 35-year-old Jacob Plime were killed. Investigators say Miller was reportedly a guest at the home and the victim, while Plime was the assailant. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Reaction to President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter apparently depends on party affiliation. Republicans respond to a step the president said he wouldn't take, saying it proves Joe Biden can't be trusted. Many Democrats, on the other hand, are supportive of the pardon, saying Hunter Biden would never have been prosecuted if he hadn't been the president's son. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is down on the day right now from 153 points. NASDAQ is up, though, by 183. And our KSL weather, we've got that inversion, keeping the pollution close to the ground. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Get up to a 30% upfront bonus to use for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year to help grow your retirement income. Whether you're in retirement or will be retiring within 10 years, Trajan Wealth can offer some of the highest guarantees in the business. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know no one wants to work forever. We all need to retire someday, and I know you've worked hard for your money, so now is the time to guarantee it. Take advantage of up to a 30% upfront bonus for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't woulda, shoulda, coulda. Get up to a 30% bonus just for opening an account, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Retire the right way, the Trajan way, with Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. DBA in most states says Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
When Dee and I build our new home, and it's almost been 10 years now, I think of all of the appliances that we put in that house, and I cannot tell you how many of them already we have had some major repairs and even replacements. You know the one thing that I haven't given a second thought to? It's the Connecticut soft water system. It is remarkable. We've had two systems in two different homes, and not once have we ever called with an issue to my friends at Connecticut. It's time for you to call Connecticut. If you're replacing an old system, or if you're building a new home, whatever it might be, you will be amazed at how efficient the Connecticut soft water system is. For example, when your neighbor puts in 3 bags of salt in his or her system, you will be putting in only 1. It's remarkable how efficient it is. Give them a call. Great people to do business with. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer at 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Heather Kelly.
It's a pretty light traffic flow right now all across the Wasatch Front, especially I-15. Not a whole lot of traffic, and everybody's moving at freeway speeds throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties, both northbound and southbound. You also have a good commute around the Salt Lake Valley on the east and west side belt routes, with just a little bit of congestion on some of our bigger city streets when lights turn red. Looking for the best gift ever? That's what you get at Minky Couture, the original luxury blanket company. Use code KSL50 online and in stores to receive 50% off your purchase. Visit minkycouture.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll be sunny, but with diminishing air quality under an inversion layer. Highs in the mid-40s with lows in the 20s. And right now we're at 39 degrees, mostly sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Building upon our special hour of coverage from our 9 o'clock hour of President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter, Dave and I are going to go in depth for the next 20 minutes about the pardon, what it means in terms of Hunter Biden's future and the convictions, and also at 11:20, Inside Sources, Adam Gardner calling the show about this issue of lawfare, which Dave really wanted to talk more in depth about.
Yeah, in part because as we were reading through President Biden's statements of why he pardoned his son, the arguments he was making are almost identical to the arguments that former President Trump had been making with all of the charges against him, saying that he's being unfairly prosecuted because of who he is, because of his political beliefs, what his name is. It's the exact same argument coming from Biden and Trump. So I think it's important to look at this and say, okay, is the Department of Justice really targeting individuals because of their name? Because justice is supposed to be blind. We're supposed to just enforce it regardless of who you are. And the past two presidents now are calling that very thing into question.
So let's get into the pardon itself. President Biden doing an about face. He said several times that he would not consider a pardon.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
So that was following his son's conviction in a Delaware case. It was a federal case involving a gun charge. And then in July, he says this to ABC News' David Muir.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
I think words are easy. It's very easy to say the right thing. It's very hard to do the right thing. And I think President Biden was either naive in making those statements, or he was, at worst, just saying what he thought we want to hear. And that's what bothers me, is I think we already have this complaint with politicians saying, you're just telling me what you think I want to hear. Be honest. If he had said to David Muir right there, listen, I think this has been totally unjustified. I think it's unfair. I think if he said everything then in July that he just said now in his statement, then at least you're being honest. Say, yeah, if he's convicted, I think this is totally unjust. I will pardon him as soon as he's convicted. Okay, that's being honest. And that would have been, I think, swallowed a little bit easier than what happened right now.
Now, we are creeping up on the sentencing dates for both the gun charges in Delaware and also the tax evasion case, which he pled guilty to. He's convicted in Delaware by a jury. In California, however, on the tax evasion case, he had pled guilty. So he did not go to a jury trial in California. However, sentencing was creeping up, and in just the weeks before sentencing, the president has issued this pardon. What does this mean? It means that Hunter Biden will not face sentencing. That's what it means. And it also means something far more than that. It is a very sweeping pardon, a full and unconditional pardon during an almost 11-year window from January 1st of 2014, so almost 10 years ago, through December 1st of 2024. And it includes offenses against the United States. That's an important point that I want to make here. Against the United States. So it's federal offenses that the president is referring to, which a president has jurisdiction over federal cases he can pardon, as he has here. And he goes on to say, which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2024 to January 1st, 2014 to December 1st, 2024, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted by special counsel, and he goes on and he lists a special counsel, and he includes Delaware and California and the charges that his son was facing there, or the convictions that he was facing there. So the president has given a sweeping blanket pardon to his son for that almost 10-year period. And keep in mind, this is cases involving federal prosecution. President does not have jurisdiction over cases that we very commonly cover here in state court. So it would be federal prosecution. But he's given his son a really big hall pass here with that.
And I wonder what happened to the no one is above the law, which is the exact phrase that Joe Biden used several times with Donald Trump in regards to the Mar-a-Lago top secret documents case, January 6th, the state crimes, that he was convicted for, the 34 felonies for the hush money case involving Stormy Daniels, right? It was constantly saying, no one is above the law, no one is above the law. Well, until it comes to your son, and then you pardon him. So which one is it? Is it no one is above the law, or is it no one that disagrees with me is above the law?
He went on to talk in great detail in his statement that he did not feel he did feel like this was political, and he said, "I kept his word as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted without aggravating factors like use in a crime." He's referring to the gun there. Multiple purchases or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. We spoke earlier to KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas about this, and he did say that if it was a typical man on the street, likely would not have been charged in these cases.
The government has to pick and choose. He was certainly a high-profile defendant. Certainly they want to make an example so that the public will know that these are not offenses that we're just going to walk away from. But the man on the street, typically who didn't have the name Biden, would not have been charged under these same facts.
So when President Biden says it was clear that Hunter was treated differently by the DOJ, well, it's your DOJ. This is your Department of Justice, the same Department of Justice that was looking into President Trump and his alleged crimes. So how do you complain about partisanship or being unfairly treated, but then you justify the Department of Justice's investigation into your political opponent, Donald Trump? It's that kind of hypocrisy, I think, that hurts his case more than anything, is the broken promise. You said you weren't going to do it, then you did do it, and it just makes us doubt the veracity and the validity of the entire system. And that is more damaging than whether or not Hunter Biden spends 15 months in prison.
When I got the notification last night, it came on my Apple Watch. You get the notification. So I'm trying to read it with, trying to figure out, because I can hardly see the thing because of my eyesight. And then I finally got a hold of what it was saying there. I thought, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And he does state that he feels like the American people will understand it. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. Straight ahead, let's bring in Adam Gardner, KSL Inside Sources host from 11 to 3. Adam Gardner, one of our co-hosts on Inside Sources from 1 to 3. I'm going to get this straight. And a political insider. To ask, to your point, Dave, about Lawfare. And was this politically motivated? And what do you do in cases like this? Did President Biden do the right thing? Was it the wrong thing? Adam's up next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Mountain Home Services, they installed my furnace years ago, and then they would come back every couple of years to do a service on it. And I just never had any problems with my furnace. It just hummed along beautifully. I just would change out the filter. That was about the extent of my expertise, is changing out the filter.
Well, now the Master Electrical Service has combined forces with Mountain Home Services. They can do so much more. You talk about your heating and air, that your HVAC, your EV chargers. They can work on all of your electrical needs for you.
And then you get those the heating and air, the plumbing. All those HVAC needs taken care of. It's one-stop shopping with Mountain Home Services.
And now they've added gas fireplaces to the mix. So there's a full menu of things that they can do for you.
And what a perfect time to do it, right? As the holidays are coming, and we love to hang the stockings. You got to have a fireplace for that, right? Well, they can help you pick out just the right fireplace at Mountain Home Services. Make sure you give them a call, 801-543-2222. That's 801-543-2222.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. In these trying times when inflation is out of control and our paychecks give us less and less money to support our families, the last thing any of us can afford is for the IRS to garnish wages, levy bank accounts, or seize assets. It's important now more than ever to protect your financial security.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
$66,300.
Let us safeguard you. Visit endtaxworry.com. We have saved countless taxpayers like you millions of dollars, kept businesses in operation, and ensured that our clients receive the best possible outcome.
Nearly $65,000.
$12,000 is something that you can look at and say, okay, I can handle that.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. You work hard for your money. Let us work hard for you. Visit endtaxworry.com.
We're very grateful.
Jimmer from 40 feet! Got it! He did it again!
Hi, I'm Jimmer Fredette. We all have our heroes. I know I have mine. Looking to them as role models has helped me achieve my dreams. If you want to make a difference, give hope to thousands of Americans on the organ transplant waiting list. 3/4 of those on the list need a kidney, and 1 person dies every 2 hours as the need for organs far exceeds the supply. I made the choice to be an organ donor. You can make a difference. Donate a kidney or donate a car. Both save lives. Join me, Jimmer Fredette, in my effort to make an impact. Donate to the Kidney Foundation today. Donate online at www.towcars.org. That's TOWKARS.org. Make your car a kidney car, a car that saves lives. Call the Kidney Foundation at 1-800-TOW-CARS today. Join me and make a difference.
Call 1-800-TOW-CARS with a K, like kidney.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, police have identified the 2 men who died in a shooting incident in Clinton on Thanksgiving Day. They were Jacob Plyme and Keith Miller, who was a guest in that home. Second, Republicans and Democrats have very different reactions to President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter. And third, we're living with one of Utah's bad air quality episodes this week. 39 degrees, sunny right now in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
President Biden, in pardoning his son Hunter, said in a statement, no reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he was and is my son. And that is wrong.
He said, I believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision.
And you wanted to talk about lawfare in cases of these types of prosecutions.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because when I was reading his statement, in stark contrast to what we've heard for the past several years, where he says no one's above above the law, you just gotta take your take your just desserts if you break the law. That's what he's been saying for years now in regards to President Trump. Now to do an about face, and then now you're saying, oh, this was tainted. This process wasn't fair. He was targeted. Well, if that's the case, then you should be cleaning house at the Department of Justice. If you think that they were targeting your son, this is your Department of Justice, and they're targeting your son unfairly, then how does everybody keep their job? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Adam Gardner, co-host of Inside Sources from 1 to 3 every day, one of our several political insiders who are co-hosting Inside Sources. What was your immediate reaction when you saw that President Biden had pardoned Hunter?
I kind of felt the same as you, Dave. I felt this was a little hypocritical. Look, I have kids. We all have kids, and we would do anything for our children. And I could understand if you came out with a statement that said, I'm the president of the United States. I alone have the power to pardon anybody I choose. I'm at the end of my career. I'm pardoning my son, and left. And everyone would still be angry, but they would understand, and at least he'd be telling the truth. We listened to briefing after briefing in the White House briefing room. We listened to the president. We listened to Jill Biden. Over and over, we're asked questions of, are you going to pardon Hunter? And they repeatedly lied directly in the faces to the American people. And I think that's what most of those that are upset have a problem with. Hunter also came out with a statement. He said, I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction. And all I can say to that is, well, no, you haven't. At all. You haven't admitted them. You haven't taken any responsibility. There will be no blowback. If we were really concerned about targeting and using lawfare on Hunter Biden, then we could say, hey, the two criminal actions of you possessing a firearm while you were addicted to drugs and then your tax evasion, I'm pardoning you for those two things. That's not what he did. The president of the United States used broad, sweeping power that said you are innocent of all I'm pardoning you of all federal crimes that you may have committed starting January 2014, which is about the time he started on a Ukrainian gas company, Burisma's board. And I think that's a real problem. It prevents any oversight from going in and looking to any of his actions of how he might have used his connections with the then Vice President of the United States. So I would argue they're not targeting Hunter Biden because he was the son because he's the son of the president. I would argue that he's being targeted because he's a criminal and he's finally getting caught. And so the Trump administration has been using these same arguments. I don't agree with them. And now it seems that we can't trust both sides.
Well, I was just, as you were talking there, Adam, I was thinking, what if, and this is just completely a what if Biden were to pardon Trump as well?
We have talked a lot about that. It's funny you mention that, because that would be kind of a way to appease both sides. And, it kind of makes sense because the prosecutors in all of his federal cases with Donald Trump have kind of dropped the charges and kind of backed away from them.
At the federal level.
Knowing that he's at the federal level. So that does nothing, again, for listeners, that does nothing for the state charges. So New York and Georgia, those things will still stand. But, yeah, on the federal side, that would make a great kind of a peace offering to Trump supporters and to Biden supporters of, you know what, I'm doing this one for me, but I'll also do a solid for you, even though I know those aren't going to go forward. I'm going to pardon both sides. Trump wouldn't have to do it for himself when he comes into office, which he probably might. But all this does is really messy the waters, and it's just, again, really disappointing that he went about it this way. It was done on a Sunday. designed on Thanksgiving weekend to not have a lot of people pay attention to it. All of this is just completely shady.
He said, I watched my son be selectively and unfairly prosecuted. We've heard from President-elect Trump, say many times he thought the Department of Justice was corrupt. Now, when you start reading some of the similar undertones from President Biden, you've got both sides that are criticizing the process and how it was handled at the Department of Justice. And I think that undercuts the institution at its core.
I think when you have a lot of people in positions of power breaking the law, and then when you're finally charged with breaking that law and you can attack the system, all it does for everyday normal Americans is to attack that same system, give them any of the cover that they want, that any time they're ever charged with a crime, that somebody's out to get them. It's not because they actually broke the law. President Trump broke the law multiple times. Hunter Biden broke the law multiple times. They even had to set certain rules for Chinese buyers that were his clients or related to his clients that wanted influence with the vice president of the United States and the president of the United States later, with purchasing Hunter Biden's art for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And if you've ever seen Hunter's art, you know he's not that good to have the Chinese art world suddenly fall in love with his fashionable art. And so you know there's some influence peddling there. You know that Donald Trump was doing the same thing. And it also kind of reeks where when I say Donald Trump was doing the same thing, he was charged with a federal crime for actions he took with documents after he left office. He took federal documents that were not supposed to be in his care. Biden did the exact same thing and was let go because Robert Hur said that he was just an old man that we never could get a conviction out of. The whole thing stinks to high heaven, and I hope somebody comes in and changes this, or at least changes the perception. But for those folks that Donald Trump has nominated, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Adam, I just want to get real quick to Dave's point earlier he was making about was it wrong to charge Trump, and was it wrong to, and I know you're not an attorney unless maybe you are, and I don't know that, but was it wrong to charge Trump, and was it wrong to charge Biden's son? Or do you say that, in terms of the use of what they call lawfare?
I think the most egregious trial that Donald Trump was put on, was in New York City. That was complete lawfare. Those 36 charges against him were pretty ridiculous to call them felonies and criminal actions. I don't agree with. I think everything else has a solid basis, and that's what our entire court and judicial system is for, to be charged with a real case and then to go through a jury of your peers. And so was it wrong for Donald Trump? I don't know. That's for the courts to decide, and that's for a jury of his peers to decide. And was it wrong to charge Hunter Biden? Absolutely not. I don't believe that it was at all. I think it was the right thing, and I think pardoning him was wrong and sends the wrong message.
One of the things, thank you, Adam, for joining us. Adam Gardner, host of Inside Sources. We'll talk to you again. But, Debbie, the final thing that just stood out to me in the final statement, the final sentence from President Biden's statement says, I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. And the reason I don't think Americans will understand this is because we don't have a magic wand. As a father, I don't have a magic wand that if my kids do something wrong, I can't wave that magic wand and all of a sudden remove them from any of the consequences of their actions. If you don't like the laws, then change the laws. If you think the punishments are too harsh, then go through the proper process and change those laws. That's how you affect change. You don't do it by waving your magic wand of pardon and then just say, you know what, for my son, I'm going to protect. But for your son, Dave, no such protection.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, President Biden pardoned his son Hunter, meaning that the felony gun possession and tax evasion convictions that he's had will be cleared from the books. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas tells Utah's Morning News an interesting part of that pardon process was that it covered years where there haven't been any charges filed.
The pardon goes back 10 full years to 2014 for any conduct that could be charged federally.
Escorta says presidents often issue multiple pardons as they leave office. He expects to see more from the president before the end of the year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Bills fans helped to clear the heavy snow outside Highmark Stadium before Buffalo's big AFC title win over the 49ers on Sunday. And speaking to ABC News, Mayor Christopher Scanlon described the monster storm as a home team advantage in Buffalo.
Used to the snow coming in, what we are seeing now is larger storms than we've seen in the past.
Mayor Scanlon says the snowfall gives the local team an advantage since they practice in it. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is down 111 points right now. The NASDAQ is up, though, 164. And our KSL weather looks like the air pollution just going to get worse through the week. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
How does a soccer club, born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
Has made a champion out of Real Salt Lake.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And here's Ricky Meese.
For those traveling the Valley freeways in Salt Lake County, we do have good speeds and no problems there. Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash at North Temple at about 1900 West. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny, but with diminishing air quality under an inversion layer. Highs in the mid-40s with lows in the 20s. And right now we're looking at 41 degrees with sunny skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
The holidays are here. We've been talking about Black Friday shopping and how online and Black Friday shopping set all kinds of records, increased spending. So you might be stressed over the family budget because maybe you spent a little more than you thought you would. But guess what else you got to be stressed about? And a study finds that parents are certainly stressed about it. That is traveling with your kiddos.
There is nothing more stressful than traveling with your kids. I literally cannot think of anything more stressful than this.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there
It
yet?
is nonstop. I mean, have you ever tried to pack your own self and then 57 little Bluey backpacks? You're like loading up Bluey backpacks like over every arm and leg you have.
So according to the study finds, peak stress during holiday travel with children occurs about 3.5 hours into your journey.
That's the number, 3.5 hours.
93% of parents do believe holiday travel is worth the effort despite the challenges. They asked 2,000 parents. They do a really good job of getting a lot of opinions with 2,000 parents with children who are ages 5 to 12 years old. So it's right in that. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
Zone.
No.
Are we there yet?
This is where parents today, am I at the point where I'm like, parents these days, I've reached that point in my
Kind of
life.
are, yeah.
Parents
You're
these
almost
days,
an empty nester.
you don't even understand what we went through. You have an iPhone. You have an iPad. Traveling with kids with an iPhone and an iPad is completely different than you and I, Debbie, which our parents, when we're like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? What they would say is, look out the window and count the number of cows that we pass. Like, that was our entertainment.
Did you play the license plate game?
Oh, yeah, we played the license plate game. Let's see if we can hit all 50 states.
We used to do. I'm thinking of a word that begins with a letter.
Oh, I Spy all day. Yeah. I Spy for sure.
Those are the games from the 70s. So you were born in the 70s. So maybe the games from the 80s. I'm a 67 baby. But here's the major challenges that parents face. See if you agree with them. 64% of parents struggle most with keeping their kids entertained.
That I just don't believe. Like, parents, you don't know what entertaining your kids is. You hand them an iPad, you download 4 movies of their favorite movies, they have Candy Crush or whatever game they want to play. Keeping them entertained is the easiest thing in the world.
So my kids
just leave them alone.
My kids were born in the 90s. We didn't have iPads yet. We didn't have cell phones yet.
That's real parenting.
The only phone that I did have was a flip phone, and it was limited to 30 minutes a month. Remember those robust plans? You literally would just scream into the phone I need to be picked up downtown, and then you hang up because you didn't want to waste, but then you realize that 30 seconds actually rounds up to a minute of use.
I would do a stop clock. I had a stopwatch because you could talk up to 59 seconds, but then boom, if you went 101, then that's 2 minutes.
So we became so desperate sometimes on long road trips, and we did drive just about everywhere. Our kids did fly somewhat when they were younger, but we tried to drive everywhere because we were having to fly five people was a lot of money. It was a lot cheaper to fill up the gas tank. And so we were this one time, we had a TV with a VHS attached to it.
Yep.
And it just fit perfectly. It was one of those small box TVs between the captain's chairs. In the front seat, captain's chairs. And I guess we didn't have a coaxial cable. Is that what you say? Coaxial cable. We missed. So we literally swing into a random Radio Shack in Cedar City. We're 3 hours outside of Salt Lake. Of course, that back then the mile it was 55 miles an hour, so you couldn't get anywhere. Now it's 80. I would have loved to have driven my kids around at 80.
Teleport now.
Yeah, teleport. So we swung in. We were so desperate. We bought a cable, but we went through that whole thing. Where it's okay, what movie you want to watch now, and they would be a major sibling rivalry over what movie was up next. But that's what we did to keep our kids entertained, and it worked. Mostly, but we also did the look out the window, I Spy. I'm thinking of something that begins with the letter T, trees. Yeah. The letter C, cars. So 64% say they keeping kids entertained is an issue. Other significant challenges: managing temper tantrums. Have you ever had one? I don't remember having.
Yeah, you'll get some meltdowns for sure.
I remember having our kids having a meltdown. See, I raised amazing
angels.
children.
Yeah.
I don't remember managing temper tantrums in the car. I do remember managing them at home. And also at the check stand where they put the candy at the kid's eye level. That was tricky. Finding bathrooms. Oh, yeah. Do you ever have a problem with that?
Non-stops. Oh, yeah. It's every 30 minutes.
In the
You're like,
diaper era?
How in the Oh, yeah. Well, that, yeah.
I have a diaper
That's one thing.
era
I was
story.
just thinking, like, even post-potty training, it's like you'd make a stop, and then 30 minutes later, like, I need to go too. You're like, we literally just stopped.
Do parents get amnesty talking about their kids when they're like a year old and they didn't remember this happening?
Oh, yeah.
We had,
we forget.
We were coming back from the Hayuintas and we had a moment with the diaper issue. And my husband was changing the diaper. It was a disaster. And I tried to get in there and help him. And he literally looked at me and said, I'm flying the plane now.
I'm on this one.
This requires one parent.
Yep.
And I thought, you can have at it, my friend.
You're right, buddy.
I'm out.
Co-pilot out. Eject.
And then the final one is...
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
Dealing with
Are we
those...
there yet?
No.
Are we there yet question.
How did you deal with the "Are we there yet"?
No.
See,
I just say no. What? No is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
We get there when we get there?
It doesn't work. Yeah, the life hack we had was the rear view mirror was the beginning, like the left side of the rear view mirror and the right side. That was the map, right? So we just point on the mirror where we're at. So are we there yet? If we're halfway, I point right in the middle of the mirror. So we just go
cool.
like, this is how far we are. So when they'd ask, because that's what they want to know. They're like, are we almost there? Are we...
Sort of there.
So, yeah.
Would we be there today?
Yeah, you got to give them some information. Otherwise, it is a nonstop. Are we there yet? Are we there? How much further?
No, we were an informationless community in the car.
Shut your mouth.
Okay, so average parent, according to preparation, plans 2 to 3 months in advance. What? So we did a lot of four-wheeling and snowmobiling. We're just honestly, I was growing up in Arizona, didn't do any of this really, and then moved here, got married. We had snowmobiles, and we would go into the Hayuintas all the time. In fact, I think we'd try to do like a couple times a month.
Okay.
And when you're packing little kids.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I remember there was a time when I forgot the white bees. This is when I learned to make white bees out of paper towel. Yeah, when you're packing little kids, you forget a lot. So we had to come up with a rule because I usually did a lot of the packing. I was just kind of in control that way. I wanted to make sure we had everything. But then we would get like half a mile down the road, and it would pop quiz time would start for my husband. He'd be like, did you remember this? Did you remember that? And I would get so stressed.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to...
Like, we already left, buddy. Hay's in the barn.
Whatever we forgot. Food? Yeah, we forgot food. We don't have diapers for the weekend. Is that a problem?
They have stores on the way.
They really don't, because it's Hayuintas. They have one store, and everything was a little bit pricey. So we would always try to pack everything, of course, or have a supply of what we needed on the other side when we got there. But we did have to come up. I think this is important. Actually, we did really. This was good. We came up with a pact that he would stop asking me that question.
Yeah.
Once we left.
We can't.
You can't do the pop quiz. Whoever the packer is, they've done their best.
They get immunity.
They get immunity. Yeah. No pop quizzes. Once you leave, you leave. But you're right, Dave. Majority of the places are going to travel. I tell my kids this too when they're packing on their third suitcase of packing, and I'm like, you're going to be overcharged at Delta because you've packed way too much stuff. There are stores where you are going to be landing, so pack wisely. You can buy things if you absolutely run out of toothpaste. But there was a time when we sent our daughter up to Girl Scout camp believe it was the Uintas, and I forgot to pack toothpaste and a toothbrush. She was gone for
Come back with all the cavities, kid. You'll love it. All the cavities. 60% of parents think traveling with kids is the most stressful part of the holiday season. Parents, try to do it without an iPad. It's a different game. You don't even know what it's like now.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to kslnewsradio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
Do you have a garage door guy? Because if you don't, let me tell you about Advanced Garage Doors. We were able to sit down with them at lunch the other day, Debbie, and I was just amazed at their level of expertise, they talked about things I never even thought of before. Like, did you know that you can actually get a tune-up? Like, you're supposed to do a tune-up to your garage door. I've never once had a tune-up.
The great thing, too, about Advanced Garage Doors is they've got these certified technicians who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what that means for you is you get same-day service.
A lifetime warranty on all residential doors and parts. You'll just have this wonderful peace of mind knowing that your garage door is always protected. You just got to follow their recommendations.
Financing is available, which could be really important. If you need your garage door either repaired or replaced now, ask them about their financing.
And have some fun. Go on their website, design your dream garage door. A new garage door can transform the look of your home.
There's a few ways you can get a hold of them. One, you can give them a call. They'd love to hear from you. The phone number is 801-252-5977. Again, 801-252-5977.
Or check them out online at advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Harbor Freight knows tool people like to keep busy. But with our Black Friday sale now through Monday, you'll want to free up some time. We're talking deals like our 5,000-watt generators under $800, 17-foot reach ladders for $99.99, and 40% off Icon Pro socket sets. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until 12/2/24 while supplies last. Limitations apply.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, Dee and I had the chance to see Beauty and the Beast, Disney's Beauty and the Beast, at Hale Center Theater. It is something you do not want to miss this holiday season. The voices delivering those beloved songs to perfection is simply wonderful. I asked Dee, what was your favorite part? And she's seen a lot of versions of Beauty and the Beast, literally around the world. She said, where do you possibly start on this? But the costumes were spectacular. She loved Belle's ensemble. With Hale Center Theater's magic, it is incredible. The staging and the special effects, the transformation from Beast to the Prince is simply masterful. Hale Center Theater, don't miss Beauty and the Beast. And give a gift of Hale Center Theater. Whether it's tickets to A Christmas Carol, gift cards make a great gift, season tickets to the 2025 season, it awaits you. Go to hct.org.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Formed in 2014, GWC Capital is celebrating its past by keeping its sights set firmly on the future ahead. To position the company for its next growth phase and beyond, GWC Capital is rebranding to Clyde Capital Group. President Brandon Henry joins us with more.
This new name, Clyde Capital Group, reflects our commitment to excellence and our dedication to building better communities. It also strengthens ties with and connects us more closely to our parent company, Clyde Companies. Since our founding, we've grown from just 2 employees to a team of over 50, managing over 20,000 acres of development across Utah and Idaho. Our projects range from industrial and commercial spaces to residential and resort units. Some of the most notable projects in Utah include Desert Color in St. George, Salente in Washington City, and Vistas at the Point of the Mountain. These developments are just the beginning of what we can achieve as Clyde Capital Group. We are confident the new brand will help us meet the demands of an ever-changing marketplace. I invite you to visit our new website at ClydeCapitalGroup.com to learn more about our new name, new opportunities, and enduring commitment.
Despite the new name, Clyde Capital Group has the same commitment to excellence in delivering a higher standard of living for individuals and communities. They will continue to adjust, adapt, innovate, and forge new partnerships to create legacy opportunities. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Black Friday specials on now at Mr. Mac. And collar stretch shirts, $36. Mission belts, 30% off. Black Friday savings throughout the store. Now through Cyber Monday at all 9 Mr. Mac stores.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, President Biden's decision to pardon his son Hunter is getting all kinds of scrutiny. Second, the mayor of Buffalo says the snowstorm the Bills had to play in yesterday gives the team an advantage. And third, air quality expected to get worse through this coming week. 41 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, it has just been a phenomenal couple of weeks at the movie theater. The box office has just got to be eating this up. You got Wicked, that's just off the charts amazing. I'm hearing all kinds of good things about it. Haven't had a chance to see it yet, but looking forward to it. And Moana 2, leading the pack at theaters, bringing in millions. I don't know what that means. $221 million?
225.
It's
it just
even
keeps
higher
going.
than the notes I've got here.
Yeah.
Wow, Andy.
I get all the emails that tell me what the
I
box
love it.
office updates are.
So just turn over this segment to you.
Andy Farnsworth is joining us right now, host of the movie show with Steve Sales. Now, Andy, Moana 2, I thought Moana 1 was like, okay. Why was Moana 2, why did that resonate so much? Was it that good?
Well, I mean, no, not in my opinion, but it's the right timing.
Perfect timing.
It's the right thing. You know, it's the right length when you compare it to Wicked. It's a full hour shorter. You can get more screenings in a day. You can take your whole family to it. It would be easier on that front to find tickets a little bit more than Wicked. You know how I told you guys how the theaters will open up additional screens? Well, this was a good problem to have, but the problem was these three movies were doing so well, you got to throw in Gladiator also, that they ran out of extra screens to expand them to. And so this is one of the few times I think where having that almost 3-hour runtime for Wicked cut into sales that they maybe could have had otherwise. But it's still pulled in. My number that I've got is 118 million over the 5-day weekend. They consider Wednesday through Sunday.
And that's Wicked?
And that was for Wicked. 225 million for Moana 2. And then Gladiator got 44 million. And that had already made 100 million overseas. So 3 movies doing very well for theaters and for the studios that produced them.
So when I heard this, I got really excited for movie theaters and the idea of getting families into the movie theater. It feels like it's been a little while since we've had, the triple crown of movies come out where movie theaters are absolutely packing the house. What are your thoughts?
It's been a long time since we've had 3 movies in theaters at the same time pulling in these kind of numbers, but Barbenheimer last year pulled in a lot at back-to-back. There have been other, Inside Out 2 really packed the theaters back in June, if you remember, and Deadpool and Wolverine pulled in ridiculous numbers in July. But, having counter-programming, this kind of hit the whole spectrum. Guys that didn't care for a musical or didn't want to go to the kiddie show could go see Gladiator. Women who didn't want to see Gladiator or maybe who weren't, that big on Moana could go see Wicked. And families who didn't want to sit through 3 hours of Wicked or couldn't take their little kids to see Gladiator could all go to Moana. And Moana, look, just because Moana's not as good as the first one, it doesn't mean it's not good. It's just, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but man, families loved it. My kids loved it. I mean, that's who matters. And that's who went.
Do we have a little music at all from I think, again, what's interesting about this is musicals. Again, with Moana and Wicked, these are 2 popular things.
No wizard that there is or was is ever gonna bring.
There you go, Wicked. So with Moana doing so well, with Wicked doing so well, are we just going to get a steady stream of musicals from here on out? Because there is nobody that copycats like Hollywood.
No. Well, okay. I actually read an article today from one of the trades about how is sequels going to hurt the box office or help it going forward? Because sequels are really propping up. Like 20 of the top 25 films this year are sequels. Wicked's not technically a sequel, but it is kind of a sequel. Like everybody's familiar with the property and they were looking forward to seeing this adaptation. So it's not truly original. Like, hey, have you heard about this thing called Wicked? It's the backstory of the Wizard of Oz. People already knew that part. And so it's going to see this adaptation of it. I was waiting for this movie for years. I finally went and saw the musical itself because I got tired of waiting for the movie to come out. And you could never hardly get tickets to the musical. So all these things, perfect storm. Sequels, they're carrying the box office. So then the question is, at what point do they finally eat themselves up? Mm-hmm. And when's the original property that's going to come out that just gets the big. I mean, Barbie was close, but you could argue it's not necessarily original property. It just happened to be an original story. I don't know.
You think we'll see
You were gone for
Moana 3?
Oh, yes. They left the door open 100%. There's a mid-credits scene in Moana 2 that reminds you there was a bunch of story threads they didn't answer in Moana 2.
And they left the door open in Wicked, too, right?
Well, Wicked is, they only showed you Act 1 of the musical.
Right. So we know
for
it's
sure
going
that
to,
was going to happen.
So we already know a sequel is either in the works
Next
or going to
year.
be
No,
next
it's
year.
finished.
It's
done.
finished.
Yeah.
Andy, wow.
Well, and then we had, reminding me, Moana 2 made so much money it outperformed Frozen 2, again, going back to these sequels. But Frozen 2, don't they have a Frozen 3 and a Frozen 4 planned out? I mean,
there is now, but when they made Frozen 2, they didn't.
They hadn't planned it out.
Yeah, whereas Moana 2 literally left the door open. Like, there's a mid-credit scene that says, hey, remember us characters? You forgot about us. We've got more to do.
Do you attribute the success to us just wanting to get back to the movies in a bigger way, or are these just really great movies that I'm seeing a lot of traction, particularly for Wicked, on social media? Like a lot of people coming out of the theater saying, "Wow, that was amazing."
Well, people have to enjoy the movie to want to go multiple times. Like you don't pull in $225 million from people who just see it once and are like, "Okay, we're good." This is something that comes from people going multiple times.
Yeah.
Families want to go more than once. You had a 5-day weekend, and it just everything worked out right. Moana was very well loved, the first one. You got to put a good movie in the theaters. Last year Thanksgiving was like half of what box office dollars pulled in because there just wasn't a great selection of things that everybody wanted to see. That's always the case. Good movies will always bring people to the theaters, always.
And this is the trifecta.
And this happened to be the triple play of movies.
I love what you said about Gladiator. If a guy wanted to go see Gladiator, and his girlfriend or wife wanted to go see Wicked, and then if they wanted it as a family, they could hit Moana. I mean, you're right. So, like you said,
and it's fun. It's fun to go to the theater when everybody's there and excited. There's nothing like that.
I have sat in quite a few empty theaters. Now I go at odd times. Like I'll take off from work and go to theater. We get off work in the afternoon.
That is one nice thing.
It is one. But it also, there is a charm and an excitement about being around people.
It's an energy.
It is, and I've missed some of that. So Wicked's still selling out?
Yes, it's still doing very, very well. My kids tried to go. They tried to do a cousin thing on Thanksgiving where they were going to go to Wicked, and the only seats that were left was front row.
Front rows.
So they weren't able to find one. But
front row is not quite as bad now that you have the reclining chairs. It's still pretty awful.
That's true. You're basically laying on your back.
Yeah, you're just laying down watching the whole thing. So, Andy, thank you so much for joining. All right, there we go. Wicked, Gladiator, Moana.
Movie show this week.
Yep, we'll be up on Friday at
you're going to be
somewhere.
somewhere.
We're going to be at the Minky Couture in Lake.
Oh, perfect timing. The cuddly blankets, the world's
maybe
greatest
we'll
blanket.
Get some snow. It's a great day for a blanket.
I've been looking at their blankets for some holiday gifts, so you'll have to let us know.
Oh, I will.
Okay, Andy and Steve, the movie show guys, Andy Farnsworth, thank you so much for jumping in studio with us. We just thought it was just such a fabulous weekend for movies. It'd be fun to chat with you about how well the movies did, and they did really, really well.
Yeah, they did really well. I will say this. I found the more original stories right now are coming from television. That's where I've enjoyed the new stories. And you're pulling in some heavy hitter actors. I'm watching one right now, Land